For most lost media, we have a clear reason why something goes lost, or at the very least a timeline of events that we can use to deduce how and why said piece of lost media is in the state it is now. We know enough information to get a start, knowing when a piece of media was created, by who, and how many people had their names attached to it. Sometimes there's cases where the explanation isn't as easy, and those kinds of circumstances can make it even harder to find. Credits aren't available, public recollection is slim, it just seems like in some cases a piece of media can kind of show up out of the blue and re-enter public consciousness, only to be shrouded in mystery otherwise. Today, on the very anniversary of its premiere, I wanted to talk about one of those cases, a little puppet show from the early 70s called Welcome Home. Created by a mysterious little studio named the Playfellow Workshop, Welcome Home is the only known production to come out of it, with no other titles or series attached to the name. So the Playfellow Workshop is just as mysterious as information about it is scarce. Welcome Home itself sort of disappeared after its sudden ending, with no episodes available to be watched, and not even as much as a piece of advertising to be found, despite the show being incredibly popular in its time, both with critics and a general audience. Normally I would go into a piece of lost media by talking about the media itself and then detailing how it went missing and what search efforts are being made, but the only reason most of today's general public knows about Welcome Home is because of the search being conducted by a collective named the Welcome Home Restoration Project, or WHRP, composed of anonymous lost media hunters dedicated to putting Welcome Home back together, so everyone can enjoy it the way that children of the 70s did way back when. Thanks to a webpage put up by the WHRP, which details their findings and allows those that are curious about the show to learn more about it, its production, and its characters, we can see the charm of Welcome Home firsthand. They've lovingly compiled every found piece of official Welcome Home media, whether that be artwork, merchandise, or general promotional material for the show, and placed it on this website for us to explore. The WHRP website holds every piece of available information on the topic, and since its opening in February of 2022, it has seen a great amount of traffic, thus getting more attention put on Welcome Home, as was the goal of the website in the first place. All of the information in this video will be sourced directly from this website, since it's all we have to work off of. Not to be confused with the 2018 movie of the same name, Welcome Home follows the day-to-day lives of a neighborhood full of wonderful, wacky creatures represented by puppets, sort of like Sesame Street. Living in the town of Home, the inhabitants were very close with one another, not only by way of their friendships, but also in the fact that Home is a small, quaint town, with a total population of 8. But although Home's townspeople are small in number, they are plentiful in character, with each member having a distinct personality. First airing on October 11th of 1969, the show actually predates Sesame Street by about a month, but nonetheless, some comparisons can be drawn between it and Welcome Home. The mascot of the show and what is said to be the friendliest neighbor in Welcome Home, Wally Darling is the face of this production and serves the audience as a comforting figure to both learn alongside and guide them through the neighborhood, kind of like the structure of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. His official description paints him as an outgoing guy, keen on making new friends and showing them all there is to see in Home, as well as that he's quite the painter himself. He can be seen in every episode, every book created for the show, and most, if not all, pieces of merchandise and advertising. Wally's home, also named Home, kind of confusing, is located in the center of the town, and is the only building in the town that's almost sentient, with huge eyes in its front windows and even the ability to communicate directly with Wally through the general creaks and squeaks that a house might make. Some people in town even go as far as to consider Home a ninth neighbor. Our secondary character in most episodes, Barnaby B. Beagle, is both Wally's best friend and a performer, having many entertaining talents such as juggling and balancing acts, as well as being a pretty funny comedian. No matter what neighbor he's interacting with, he'll most likely have some kind of joke, with the general goal of making others laugh and sharing his joy. His joking demeanor and playful outlook on life make him a perfect match to Wally's friendliness. They're often depicted together in the show, as well as in some storybook adaptations and promotional materials for Welcome Home. They're so close that their designs share similar elements, such as closely related color palettes, and the addition of heart shapes on Barnaby's paws and on the bottoms of Wally's shoes. The title for the happiest resident in Home goes to Julie Joyful, who is just about the scrunkliest character I've ever laid eyes on. I mean, her official description uses silly as an adjective for her, so how could I not immediately love her? Much like Barnaby likes to joke around with fellow neighbors, Julie likes to play games with her friends, and often ropes them into playing pretend with her and getting up to similar hijinks and goofy scenarios. Her interactions with other characters do make her seem more childlike, somewhat like Elmo in Sesame Street, but can probably be used as a tool for education in this way, showing the audience what it means to play together and have a broad imagination like Julie does. Going from one extreme to the other, Frank Frankly is a more laid-back and stern neighbor, who has his fair share of smarts and a deep love for butterflies. He's described as grumpy and in need of strict organization. In his interactions with other neighbors, this definitely does come across. At times, the structure that Frank likes to impose for himself does impact how his relationship relationships with his neighbors go, but that's not to say that he isn't friendly, of course. He just might not find any understanding in things like Barnaby's joking and Julie's playfulness. His character design does happen to have the most drab color palette to further his characterization as the odd one out of the bunch, but he still fits perfectly with the rest of the cast despite this. Sally Starlet, somewhat of a thespian, focuses a lot of her attention on acting and singing, as most of her characterization will cover. She's said to be a living star that came right out of the sky, so her desire to be a similar star on stage is natural, of course. While she can come across as bossy and controlling in her directing of said productions, her and her neighbors get along very well, and put together some fun plays together. Sally is very explosive, getting excited about things she's passionate about, sometimes at the humorous expense of her neighbors. Poppy Partridge, my personal favorite character, from the information we have, is a huge bird with many concerns about her daily life and her friends. She's sort of like a motherly figure to her neighbors and home, even if she's a little bit bird-brained herself, for lack of a better word. She has multiple hobbies from baking to knitting, and calls on the help of her friends for bigger projects that might need a spare hand or two. She's quite sweet and loving and will help her fellow neighbors out when they need it, even if this does end up causing her a little extra stress. Even a small town needs some kind of business, and one of these businesses is run by Howdy Pillar, a caterpillar who serves as the shopkeeper of Howdy's Place, a little general store and home. While he is business-driven, this doesn't mean he doesn't have any time to interact with his neighbors. Those who pay him a visit are treated to his charm and bright personality. Anything that his neighbors need, he makes sure he has it to provide, and is known to trade his wares for things not monetary in nature, like jokes or other items that the neighbors might bring by. He's said to have been particularly close with Barnaby and by proxy Wally, who would both visit the store together regularly. Last but not least, having one of the most important jobs in home, Eddie Deer is the mailman for the town. He's greatly reliable and makes sure that everyone gets their mail as promptly as possible. Even though he's on a tight schedule with his duties, he makes time to hang out with the other residents of home, helping them with anything they might need or just playing along with their antics for the day. He is said to be rather clumsy and even forgetful at times, and with more complicated things like Julie's made-up games, he might get a little bit lost, but you won't often catch this impacting his work. The puppets themselves are even quite unique in many ways, with most of the cast using a different range of puppeteering techniques to pull off a certain look. For example, Sally's puppet required two hands clothed in a sleeve to perform her puppet's hands, as she was a live hand puppet, the best examples of these being Bert and Ernie. This meant that she would need a third hand in order to perform her head. In my eyes, there's nothing more intimate than having to perform a multi-puppeteer puppet with somebody. Barnaby would actually have two puppets, one being a live hand puppet and another full-body puppet to illustrate his size when compared to his other friends, while at the same time making sure he could be seen well enough with his live hand puppet for segments where the focus of the camera would be closer to the subjects. Poppy is also depicted with a full-body puppet, but doesn't have a live hand puppet to herself. Howdy's description also says that he has a puppet that the performer actually gets inside, like with Big Bird, but it calls it a walk-around puppet when the other two descriptions call them full-body puppets. I really don't know if these two terms are interchangeable, or if this is some kind of mistake in the writing or was something this information was sourced from, but I'll just consider it to mean that they're the same thing, since the three of them are drawn in a similar size in official art. Last but not least, while the other puppets haven't had any real detail found about them, Frank's description says that the WHRP has found, quote, evidence that has revealed that his head could be fully rotated. It doesn't state how they know this or what this evidence is, but nonetheless, there is a piece of art up on the website that shows his head turning around. So maybe this is what they meant, but I think that might just be conceptual art made by a WHRP employee. I don't know why they wouldn't be upfront about that though, so I don't know. The WHRP website says that Welcome Home was a very popular show in the time it was on, and like I mentioned before, it had a very wide audience and tons of merchandise and promotional material made for it. It kind of makes you question why nobody would remember it. Like, isn't that kind of weird? It's almost like there might be a reason why. Welcome Home had a lot of merchandise and promotional material made for the show, since its popularity was so prevalent. The website has a section on it that compiles any known merchandise, and a new section that details when and sometimes how they came about any of this merchandise, as well as art from the show. Going in chronological order on the news page, I'll detail a few of the discoveries that deepen the lore of and expand our understanding of the characters of Welcome Home. One of the first posts from January 15th of 2023 explains that art had been found that shows Julie with her siblings Jonesy, Bee, and Franny. I'll show any artwork in question on screen. The same post asks visitors to try and ignore any bugs on the website, which is fair. I did notice some of these bugs, but I don't think they're worth mentioning too much. Like, hey, not everyone is a web engineer, and I don't want to be mean, but some of them are making some portions of the website, like, completely illegible. Like this area where there's some text overlapping and certain letters being formatted much higher than the rest of a word somehow. But when you click on the literal bugs strewn throughout the pages of the website, it takes you to some strange recordings of the characters talking. I don't know if this is deliberate, but anyhow, I thought I might use the video files for some of the visuals for the video. The next post from February 25th is much larger, and explains some more things that were found. A little bit late for the holiday, the members of the WHRP located some Valentine's Day cards depicting the cast, and while some of them were already up on the website, this added both Sally and Howdy to the lineup. They explained that the package they found these in was drenched with water when they found them, and any water damage has made restoration a slow process, making it unreasonable to expect to fix entire sets of materials in one go. The WHRP does mention on their About Us page that a lot of the material they do get is practically ruined with paint and ink, like in this picture here. In this update, they also inform us that someone going by the name of the Question Answerer has offered to make a public display of the Welcome Home material that the WHRP has found. I'll talk about that in a minute here. The next update in the news page is really weird, and doesn't have a date for some reason. I think someone might have had a little too much to drink when they worked on the website, but in general, it talks about the guest book, a portion of the website where guests could leave their name and a short comment, and states that it will be closed. Anyway, that brings us to today, where the last update as of October 6th is from July 22nd. It's the lengthiest update on the website and covers quite a bit. Not only does this update acknowledge that there are now more eyes than ever on the hunt for Welcome Home, but they dropped the bombshell on us that the WHRP has uncovered some audio recordings for the show, now undoubtedly confirming that Welcome Home exists at all. Why wouldn't it exist? Some said recordings are in less than ideal condition, but the ones that have been converted and uploaded to the website are at the very least comprehensible.
Howdy do, fellas. What can I get for you two today?
Hi, howdy. I think we're gonna enjoy ourselves the usual.
Usual for my usuals? Coming right up, Pally.
The usual? I thought we were getting hot dogs.
That is our usual, little buddy. It means something you and me get all the time. Kinda like a morning booze and...
The WHRP also tells us that they have located a possible toy company named Marlowe that Welcome Home may have gone through to produce toys inspired by the show. But like all lost media searches seem to have, this potentially has been plagued with dead ends. Hopefully in the next update they'll have had some more success with this. They tell us that the Playfellow exhibition, the public display for Welcome Home that I mentioned before, and that there is definitely a possibility of there being similar events in the future. The rest of the update kind of just reiterates some things that they already told us, like that the guest book will be closed, and again, to ignore any bugs that might be in the website. Since we're on the topic of bugs, I wanted to ask about one of these and ask if anyone has any idea what might be causing it. The overlapping text I mentioned before in the About Us section that I couldn't ignore, it says, "When I unwrapped the first letter, I felt it. I heard it. Open. 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 I want it out. I'm going to get it out." The Playfellow exhibition has its own section on the website, and mainly contains any information presented at the exhibition, as well as some questions answered by the aptly named Question Answerer, accompanied by a gallery of pictures taken at the exhibition. The Question Answerer remains anonymous for their safety, which I totally get, because people can get actually insane when a piece of lost media gets this much traction. Giving us a little bit of extra helpful insight, the exhibition introduced us to the event by saying, "Critically praised and financially successful, Welcome Home dominated its Saturday morning time slot with its colorful cast of puppets, entertaining and addictive stories, and lively sets unlike anything seen before. Created and produced by the Playfellow Workshop, Welcome Home is believed to have had a 4-year run, from October 11th, 1969 until its abrupt pull from television sometime in 1974. In the time since, all footage and merchandise of the entertainment powerhouse has been presumed lost. In recent years, however, the small collective at the Welcome Home Restoration Project have been able to compile, restore, and archive what few remnants of Welcome Home have been uncovered. Through their efforts, the team hopes to awaken the memory of this lost piece of media. We at Questions Answered Curatorial Services are honored to be able to showcase the WHRP's findings, and to help further their goal to restore and rediscover the world of Welcome Home. As for the pictures, in order of how they're listed on the website, the Playfellow exhibition showed off an image of unknown origin of a Wally puppet, a cardboard cutout of Wally advertising some Welcome Home branded cereal that confirms he is canonically 3 feet tall, some letters presumed to be from an Eddie-inspired playset, a production drawing of Frank and Eddie, the restored Valentine's Day cards, a talking telephone toy and its box, which the description says is just one of many, all of which were themed to a different neighbor and home, created by Marlowe. There's also an attached video of the toy in use that I'll play here real quick.
You're calling Howdy's place, the home of everything you need and everything you don't. Howdy Pillar at your service. Hello? Hello? Listen, pal. Time is jokes, and if I'm not laughing, then I don't have time. Actually, I do have plenty of time in stock. Thought I'll do next to the bananas. But I call them cuckoo clocks. All right. You're giving me nothing to work with, buddy. I only deal in funny business, and it looks like you're running low, pal. So long. Get it? Like a caterpillar.
Following this are a few more promotional images of Wally from one of the Welcome Home storybooks, another of Frank and Julie making a snowman, I love them so much, a couple of pictures of the records, which we get some more information about here, saying that the question and answer themselves help to restore these pieces, and that they contain a range of recordings from songs to activity guides. These, of course, are not the only recordings that exist of the show, and they aren't in too good of a condition, but the WHRP reassures that they'll find more. We will find Welcome Home. It's inside of you too. Last but not least, there's a picture of an article that was put out about Welcome Home merch, a printout worksheet that was provided to guests, printouts of the descriptions of the WHRP website and each character, some artwork, and a few images of the room itself, showing off a replica of Wally's puppet with an additional replica of Home. Really quickly, I want to just go over the last few portions of the website, the first being the merchandise page. It just goes over most of the merchandise shown at the Playfellow exhibition in more detail, and has a few of the recordings I mentioned earlier. There's also an additional media page that holds more audio recordings that weren't meant for records being sold, like the ones on the merchandise page, along with some artwork and actual production cells for an animated segment of the show. Unfortunately, everything I covered in the video is all we have to show of Welcome Home. There are currently no known recordings of the show itself, neither are there any stills taken for newspaper articles, or by any fans or anything like that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and maybe you potentially have some answers of your own about Welcome Home. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to add this into the video because I just couldn't let it go. It's something that would have bugged me if I didn't at least mention it. I must have clicked on some kind of bug when I was writing the character portion of the video. I clicked on Wally's house and it took me to this weird link. I'll try to show the GIF I saw here, but, while recording this part, I went back to do it again, and I saw that there's this black inky stuff underneath this house, and not anyone else's. I clicked on it again, and what you're seeing is what it takes you to. Then you click on this thing, and then you click on this red swirly thing, and it plays this audio. At this point, it's like, and I was getting this kind of vibe too when I was writing the video, that this is weird. Like, something about this show is really weird. I got like an icky vibe from it, so then I was like, if there's something here, I might as well come back through and look for something else I can click on or something like that. I'll go through and write down everything I find, so the next part is less like whatever this portion's supposed to be. A lot of the little doodle things on the pages are able to be clicked on, and a bunch take you to audio recordings of Wally talking. I'm not sure what any of them are for, there's no descriptions for any of them, but I'll just play a few that freaked me out the most.
There you are. Welcome home. Ha ha ha. That's what an eye looks like. My eyes are black. What color are yours?
I'm sure these are some kind of recordings from the show, but I don't know why they wouldn't have been listed on the website with every other recording. They're really weird, but it's probably just because it's out of context and because Wally sounds so weird himself. One of the words in the Playfellow exhibition page was able to be clicked on as well, but I understand this even less than I do the weird recordings. Clicking on the word answer near the bottom of the page takes you to an image of a piece of paper with all kinds of writing scribbled all over it. And when you click on the image itself, another one pops up of a safe. The notes themselves do mention some kind of 5-character code, which is more likely than not the code for this safe, which does have a place for you to type something when you click on that. I have no idea what the code might be, all of this is just so strange. It doesn't really look like whoever wrote the notes knew what this was supposed to be about either, but they do give me some tips and will maybe help me out. I want to figure this out. I'll go crazy if I can't figure this out. So the notes say that the letters to the code might be in the worksheet, so I went to it and looked through the questions. But the first letter in every question is W, which I don't think would be a very smart code to lock something with, but I tried it anyway with no success. The notes suggest that maybe the code is in the answers, so considering I'm right, The answer should be Barnaby, Sally, Poppy, Julie, and Wally. I entered these into the field and what I saw was incredibly disturbing. What confronts you after you enter this code is an awful and dark version of the WHRP website, which appears to be covered in that same black inky substance I saw under Wally's house. Among the mess of a page we have here, there's a barely visible chunk of text that can only be made out in full when highlighted. It reads, "I had a dream when I began working on the Playfellow exhibition. Wally Darling was sitting at the foot of my bed with a rotary phone in front of him, ringing away. It looked just like the little toy phone we were restoring for the exhibit. It kept ringing. Wally stared at me like he was waiting for me to pick up the phone, just staring, unblinking. The phone ringing and ringing. I couldn't move. I couldn't figure out how to move and pick up the phone. He kept waiting. I couldn't pick up the phone. I keep getting phone calls now. Or at least I assume that's what's happening. I keep hearing it ringing. All day sometimes. I check my phone and there's no new messages. I thought maybe some of the site staff were pranking me, but I tore up the workspace and couldn't find another phone that might be ringing. All that was there were the toys for the exhibit, and obviously those couldn't be ringing. But I keep hearing it anyway, the phone ringing and ringing. The more I work, the more questions I have. Why didn't any of the site staff I worked with remember this show? Even the ones who grew up in the 70s. Why can't I find any files on the Playfellow workshop? Why isn't there a single TV guide ad saying what network or time the show was on? I keep digging and digging. I've pored over every recovery the WHRP has given me access to, every inch of their website, and the things that I find make less and less sense. If I didn't know better, I'd say everyone was coming together to pull an elaborate prank on me. I can still hear the phone ringing now. I don't know how to answer the phone. I need to answer the phone. While incredibly creepy, this did end up backing up some of the questions I had myself. Why are all of these weird things happening? On the right-hand side, there's repeating text mimicking a phone ringing, and someone asking if the call's recipient can hear them and if they'll call back soon. The most eye-catching aspect, though, is the gallery of images showing what looks to be the same room or an office room similar to the one that the Playfellow exhibition was held in. Some of the images contain pictures of notes like the one about the code, but I can't make any sense of it. For example, this notebook entry that talks about the WHRP sending over some materials, and the author of this note believing they're playing some kind of prank on them, as well as that they keep hearing a phone ring, all of which was contained in that excerpt I read before. There seems to be kind of a theme with these bugs of phones ringing with all these weird things I found. The last thing, and the most disturbing by far, is the fact that when you click on the bottom of the page, where it says it's in here, you'll be brought to the Pages 404 error page. But if you go further and click on this doodle at the top, it takes you to a page with this audio embedded.
Let me in.
I just don't know why these things would be here. I keep getting this feeling like I'm not supposed to have seen these things, but why would you hide them in a public website if you didn't think someone would accidentally stumble across it? It's also weird. I don't even know what to believe anymore about the show, about the whole restoration project. Maybe I shouldn't even upload this video. Going back to the normal website, I just can't shake the feeling that something really horrible is being hidden there. I might sound crazy saying this, I mean it's just a piece of lost media, what bad could there be about it? All I know for sure is that Welcome Home is still lost, and that if we find it, there's a possibility we might find something more sinister, like what's happened with the website. We have to find it. But it hurts.
Welcome to me. Starlight and dewdrops are waiting for thee. Sounds of the wind heard in the day. Lulled by the moonlight, ever passed away. Beautiful dreamer, playing my song. At least while I really was tranquility. Gone are the cares of life's busy throng. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Ha 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 ha. I don't know the other words. That's all Barnaby taught me. Did you like it? That's good, I think.
So, like you might have known before you even started watching the video, Welcome Home is not a genuine piece of lost media, but a passion project started by Clown, an artist and fellow puppet enjoyer whose mind for character design and storytelling has been captivating us for more than a year now. He is the creator of Welcome Home, which means they are also the creator of the website, all of the show's characters, the theme, plot, and very horrifying art deepening the mystery of and allure of the characters and concept. Other than his Welcome Home art on their official website, he has posted many works they've done of the Muppets and FNAF, among other things, that I think are equally impressive. He's a fantastic artist and has put so much love and care into Welcome Home and the scavenger hunt-like aspects of the website, and I'm very happy that they've gotten the popularity they have through the show. Big thanks to both Clown and the cast and crew of Welcome Home for bringing such a creative and compelling story to life. I will link both his personal website and their Twitter account. I didn't want to talk about too much of the little details in the WHRP website, because I encourage you to go look around for yourself. I'll link both this website and a video by the YouTuber Nightmind, who has covered the entire website in depth. Again, and for real this time, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.